the chanting book, and for others who know it by heart, please join me, your palms together, to dedicate this time to the Buddha and to begin with virtues and the chanting part. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Saṅghaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dutiyampi Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dutiyampi Dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dutiyampi Saṅghaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Saṅghaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Pānātipātā vēramaṇī sikkhapadam samādhiyāmi. Adinādāna vēramaṇī sikkhapadam samādhiyāmi. Kāmesu micchācārā vēramaṇī sikkhapadam musāvādā vēramaṇī sikkhapadam samādhiyāmi. Surāmera majjapamā daṭṭhāna vēramaṇī sikkhapadam samādhiyāmi. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So, good morning everyone, and please, rule 1, turn off your cell phones. I think we don't need that bag here. So let's begin the silence from now on, that you are required to maintain silence until 4:30 this afternoon, until the retreat is done. So at lunchtime, no talking, you can help yourself with the food, and at walking time, so dwelling downstairs in the bathroom area, abstain from talking, and it is not nice when you do that. If you have been to retreat centers in other places, they begin by being quiet early in the day, and then they end the day being quiet. So that is what we expect in the Fonseca Community Center, because that's a new place and we want our people to get used to a place like that. A place where you awaken your spirituality, not a place where you awaken your chatterbox mentality, which is useless and not conducive to the path of awakening. So, with that understanding, we start the day 2 of this retreat. uh, so, for those people who were not here yesterday, what we did is to follow this schedule, and then we had the Satipatthana Sutra and the Vipassana section opened, and we also had the dependent origination discussed, so which is in this single piece of paper, and then we did up to the ending of the body contemplations of the Kaya Satipatthana Sutra. And today I have printed you the Loka Sutra, and then a piece from Madhupindika Sutra. It's on the reception desk if you want to collect that piece of paper. The new one is there. So if you look at the schedule, what may change is the 12:15 to 1 o'clock walking meditation. We will change that to a different time as we go, and in that time Renulona will do the body movement awareness exercise that we all did and enjoyed yesterday. Unfortunately, singing bowl meditation won't be done. Antonio is busy, so he's not able to make it. That's okay. We can enjoy that at a different time. So, tea is available downstairs all the time. Restrooms are downstairs as well. In case of an emergency, there are restrooms across the hall. In the daycare center side, I don't think they are fully equipped, but you can accomplish some goals in that area if you go. And I also noticed yesterday that some people didn't clean after when they used the bathroom, which is not very nice. So I had to go and clean the bathroom. So I don't think we should leave some work for anybody after using the bathroom. Even if you were to throw that piece of paper that you will be using, the napkin or Kleenex or anything, just target the bin, not the floor. You can just throw it into the bin, so nobody has to go and pick it from the floor and throw it into the. So those are little and minor things. If you see anything that needs cleaning, do clean it, and you are helping everybody that way. And we need a clean environment. And we are not using these. We do use these two doors, but to exit the building, we don't use the side doors that we can. We have put notices, so abstain from using them. And if you take this floor to your mind, the dining area is right below us. That's why if anybody talks downstairs, you can hear it directly. Not when you are there, but when I'm sitting here, even the water boiling, I can hear very well. And now in the future, when we do a retreat, we will move the dining area to the big kitchen so that we will stay undisturbed, and we don't need people who are not joining the retreat talking downstairs. And if they do need, they can do that in the big kitchen area. But they are helping us, so we should be grateful. And anyway, so anything else? Yeah, so cell phones silenced and no chatting. And we will have a Q&A session towards the end. And for that, there is a box outside on the reception. In the reception area, please put your questions into the little box. And those, you can use the piece of papers there that you can just write the question brief and make it clear so we understand. And then we can respond accordingly. We had a very enjoyable discussion Q&A session yesterday, and I'm sure we will have another one like that today as well. All right, so what do you think? Should we begin with this and then take a little break and then do our group meditation? I was waiting for one or two more people to show up. Um, well, we will start. So let's start with the Loka Sutra. The Loka means the world. Do you have it with you? You all have it? You got it? Okay. So Loka, what do you think is the Loka here, the world? Because in Sri Lankan and in the Pali context, we say Loka to the earth. Yes? The body and the mind. Our mental world that always combines with the physical world. So this is from UCSN 1244, which is Sanyutta Nikaya. Sanyutta Nikaya meaning a collection of the Buddha's teachings called Kindred Sayings. So let's read this as a group. Dwelling at Savatthi, there the Blessed One addressed the monks. I will teach you the origination of the world and the ending of the world. Listen and pay close attention. I will speak. As you say, Lord, the monks responded to the Blessed One. The Blessed One said, and what is the origination of the world? Dependent on the I and forms, there arises I consciousness. The meeting of the three is contact. From contact as a requisite condition comes feeling. From feeling as a requisite condition comes craving. From craving as a requisite condition comes clinging. From clinging as a requisite condition comes becoming. From becoming as a requisite condition comes birth. From birth as a requisite condition, then aging and death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, distress, and despair come into play. This is the origination of the world. Dependent on the ear and sounds, there arises ear consciousness. The meeting of the three is contact. Dependent on the nose and aromas, there arises nose consciousness. The meeting of the three is contact. Dependent on the tongue and flavors, there arises tongue consciousness. The meeting of the three is contact. Dependent on the body and tactile sensations, there arises body consciousness. The meeting of the three is contact. Dependent on the intellect and mental qualities, there arises intellect consciousness. The meeting of the three is contact. From contact as a requisite condition comes feeling. From feeling as a requisite condition comes craving. From craving as a requisite condition comes clinging. From clinging as a requisite condition comes becoming. From becoming as a requisite condition comes birth. From birth as a requisite condition, then aging and death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, distress, and despair come into play. This is the origination of the world. And what is the ending of the world? Dependent on the I and forms, there arises I consciousness. The meeting of the three is contact. From contact as a requisite condition comes feeling. From feeling as a requisite condition comes craving. Now from the remainderless cessation and fading away of that very craving, please take note on that, comes the cessation of clinging. So what is supposed to happen in terms of cessation is, I think this connects with our conversation yesterday, ending of craving. When craving ends, the process has to end. That's the house builder. You remember reading about the house builder? Yesterday we did that. It's at the end of this dependent origination thing. Through the round of countless births I have wandered without finding the house builder I was seeking, born and suffering again and again. O house builder, means O craving, now you are seen, you will not build the house again. all your rafters have been broken. What are the rafters here? Very good. 5 senses are building this craving all the time, connecting with consciousnesses and mind dominating over, and these rafters have to be destroyed. And the ridge pole has been destroyed. I don't know what, ridge pole, I think I would say it's the mind, who is holding these 5. My mind has reached the unconditioned, and cravings end has been achieved. So that was the first few words spoken by the Buddha. And now he's still talking about it in the Loka Sutra, because that is what we call Dhamma. Let's continue our reading. From the cessation of clinging comes the cessation of becoming. From the cessation of becoming comes the cessation of birth. From the cessation of birth, then aging and death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, distress, and despair all cease. Such is the cessation of this entire mass of stress and suffering. This is the ending of the world. Dependent on the ear and sounds, there arises ear consciousness. The meeting of the 3 is contact. Dependent on the nose and aromas, there arises nose consciousness. The meeting of the 3 is contact. Dependent on the tongue and flavors, there arises to tongue consciousness. The meeting of the 3 is contact. Dependent on the body and tactile sensations, there arises body consciousness. The meeting of the 3 is contact. Dependent on the intellect and mental qualities, there arises intellect consciousness. The meeting of the 3 is contact. From contact as requisite condition comes feeling. From feeling as requisite condition comes craving. Now, from the remainderless cessation and fading away of that very craving comes the cessation of clinging. From the cessation of clinging comes the cessation of becoming. From the cessation of becoming comes the cessation of birth. From the cessation of birth, then aging and death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, distress, and despair all cease. Such is the cessation of this entire mass of stress and suffering. This is the ending of the world. So you have reached the end of the world now. And the reason I brought this to the discussion today is because we were talking about it. And sometimes I would say it off of my head. I think it's best you see it now from a sutra, and maybe keep it with you until you are confident that you got it in your head, so you stop asking silly questions again and again. Then be confident on what you learned today. That's very important. Otherwise, you will never be fulfilled in your desire of learning Dhamma. You have to be fulfilled at some point. Stop listening to all the 100 monks you find in YouTube. You don't need it. You just learn it one time and have it in your head, and you listen to some monks only if it is necessary, only if you have real doubts, and be confident on your learnings. That's what I always want people to remember. If I was never learning it, I will never be able to teach it. And you have to also see it in your practice. And when these two come together, your learning and your practice together, you build that saddha, that is confident in what the Buddha taught. Not anything else that you would do as saddha. That's what the Buddha required. Okay, so let's now slow down. We only read it, and get back to the beginning here. So he's talking about the origination of the world, and it's now clear that the world here is all about our sensory world. Is there any better way to explain that? Mm-hmm. The internal and the external, right? And in Pali, remember this for once and for all, internal is ajjata, external is bahiddha. So, these two words, please learn them, internal and external. What is internal and what is external according to this? See, I is internal and forms are external. That's all you need to know. I is internal and forms are external. And there arises I consciousness. So, and if you take a look at this cup of tea, you can, I always tell you, you can stare at it and not even know that you are staring at it. Only if you become conscious on it, then only you make contact. Don, is there any better way to explain this? Or any of you, is there any better way to explain this? If you can stare at this for 5 minutes and not even be conscious on it sometimes, because your mind is busy or processing something else. And only when consciousness arises, I consciousness, because I am now looking at it, and even then you can go into details. There's this other thing in green, like a flower. Then you are conscious on that. So there is a contact that you made. So what are the 3 ingredients here? I, the form, and I consciousness. And the resultant is contact. What is contact here? What is the Pali word for that? Very good. Phassa. Phassa. Okay. So there is another Pali word called passati, like anupassana, like kaya anupassana. That is Pa, not Pha, like phassa. Passati is seeing. Phassa here is contact. This is not a Pali lesson, but I wanted you to see that distinction now, because sometimes you listen to the audio of the sutra and you may wonder what are the differences between these words. Okay, what are the 3 ingredients of ear contact? Please tell me. Ear, sound, and ear consciousness, and then you have ear contact, right? So what are the ingredients? Is it a better word? Is there any better word than ingredients? What? Components? Yeah. Items? Facts? Essentials, I think, is also a good word. Yeah. What are the essentials of what? Nose contact. What are the essentials? Nose aroma and nose consciousness. Right? What is the Pali word for consciousness? Vijnana, right? So, Chakku Vijnana is the eye consciousness, Sota Vijnana is ear consciousness, Gahana Vijnana is nose consciousness. Gahana is something to do with smelling, right? And then what is next? Jivha Vijnana, tongue consciousness. Tongue consciousness. I would say Jivha Phassa, Jivha means tongue here, and contact with that. What are the essentials of tongue contact? Tongue, taste, and tongue consciousness. So for tongue consciousness to arise, the taste has to be there, and then there should be a tongue present. So that's then that. And then what is the other one? What are the essentials of body contact? Once again, body and the touch and body consciousness, not feelings. That's secondary to this process. It comes after. First, the first thing that happens is contact and then the feeling. So, yeah, what you meant by feeling is touch, right? Yeah. So it has to have a body and some touch, and then body consciousness, and then body contact. And next you have the mind. So what are the essentials of mind contact? Mind objects, and mind consciousness. And as a result, you have mind contact. So how many contacts that we discussed here? How many spasas? We discussed 6. What comes next? Feelings. How many can there be? 3 feelings, but with 6 sense doors? Huh? You don't get all the 18. Has to be one of those, right? I would say 6 feelings, right? But it could be one of those, one from those 18 feelings. Do you get the number 18 here? No? So, why didn't you tell us? Okay, please explain to her. Okay, when there is a feeling, it is 3 kinds, right? It can be pleasant, painful, or neutral. So with the eye contact, you can have those 3, and with all the 6 into 3 is 18. Now you get it? Mm-hmm. Anybody still don't get it? Okay, these are the these are essential for your Vipassana practice. Vipassana is seeing in this way, seeing in the way of the Dhamma language of Dhamma, using that to discuss and talk and see things. That's how you see things as they become. Right. From feeling as a requisite condition comes craving. How does that happen? Because with the feeling, liking or disliking or being neutral are the 3 results that come after a feeling, after some kind of a feeling. These are not about any ordinary feelings, just one of those 3 feelings, and then your position after that, your association of a world based on the sensory experience, and that manifesting. And so feeling is the feeling conditions craving. From craving, what comes after? Clinging. We are redoing this. We did this yesterday in a different way, but we are using this so that we are very grounded before we go any further. And here you saw two words, clinging or sustenance. So sustenance is like a what is it? Continuation? Sustaining, exactly. Yeah. Did anybody say anything else? Yeah, sustaining. Yeah. As a result of that comes becoming. That's actually continuation. But sustaining is like holding on to it, and now you are becoming. What is the Pali word for that? Bhava. Bhava. So that is becoming. Okay? Bhava. So this is going deeper now, that your continuation happens now, bhava or becoming happens now, and that means you are making. We discussed this yesterday after after everybody left, 3 or 4 people stayed here. Here is the point. Any thought that crosses your mind creates a world elsewhere for you. You may think that it's elsewhere, but it's happening here. If your life ends in that moment, you are pulled into that place that was created at that moment. So millions and millions of opportunities are created, and our mind gets pulled into one of those, and that is the danger here. As we are discussing here, we are discussing Dhamma. If something else crosses your mind, that is your parallel world. That parallel world is in a different conversation, and that's where you may go. But if you are present with the Dhamma discussion, you may remain there, and your parallel world is matching that. And therefore there is little safety, because you are mindful of what is happening. So always think about that. There is this world, and there is this inner world that is being built hundreds and millions of times, and you have been building it over many, many millions of births, according to the teachings. Not everybody is able to see your past lives, but if you do see, you will see that how many births you have been born in different ways, and how you may get pulled into any of those karma if they ripen. Karma's way of ripening at any given moment when conditions are ready. When karma ripens, you have to go. There is no sad thing about it when you understand that this is it. When some monks, when they were confronted by their karma, like Moggallana, for example, he was beaten by bandits. He escaped it 2 times, but the 3rd time he surrendered. He knew that this karma he has to go through, and that is the way to be free from it. But don't take karma as a permanent thing that affects you in every way. When you are practicing Dhamma, you are changing your way of interacting, associating that karma or karma. So we are mired in a karmic world, and it goes in any way, any direction. And I was telling them about this lady who was dying, who was very good practicing Dhamma and listening to monks and very calm. But right at the moment when she was dying, a mosquito came and hurt her, and she wasn't happy. She didn't kill the mosquito, but her birth, after when somebody read where she went, her birth was not a pleasant one. Mosquito survived, but your mind wasn't strong enough to fight or to cope with that, even a tiny change that could happen. So accordingly, our destination is built. Okay, back to this. From becoming as requisite condition comes birth. From birth as requisite condition, then aging and death, sorrow, lamentation, that is dukkha domanassa, pain and distress, soka parideva, and despair, upayasa, come into play. This is the origination of the world, a world that is good enough for you to continue dwelling from birth to birth, birth to birth. And same thing is repeated with ear and sounds and meeting of, and then ear consciousness, the meeting of three is contact, and it goes on and on. And let's go to the end of page 1 here. And what is the ending of the world? Good question. And it says, dependent on the I and forms, there arises I consciousness. The meeting of the three is contact. From contact as a requisite condition comes feeling. From feeling as a requisite condition comes craving. Now, from the remainderless cessation and fading away of that very craving comes the cessation of clinging. So, this craving is connected with, and you saw craving with the previous list here, as we were reading the beginning part. You can see craving comes right after what? Feelings. What came before that? Contact. And so, if you end that craving within the sensory experience, and it has to be remainderless, which means nothing remains. No craving to indulge in the eye, no craving to indulge in the ear, no craving to indulge in nose or tongue, body or mind. When that happens, that ending of craving, when every sensory experience dries in meditation. And how can that happen? By not doing meditation and watching the process, or doing the meditation and going to deeper and deeper levels where you end craving as a result of your meditation. I think it has to be through the meditation practice, through cultivation, through staying longer with your practice until this process ends. So, until you are ready for that, you only do 2-day retreats, and all that ends is 2 days of craving. If you continue doing that longer, and if you are seriously doing it, we get to this point. Right? So, be courageous, not discouraged. And now all the thoughts about, oh, we are busy people and we had to do jobs and to marry my son and all that comes. But this is also an escape given to you. If you see how dangerous the existence can be, you may stay in a fancy, nice world right now, but it changes, because we are subject to this birth and death, and we are not under any control in that. So I think it makes sense that the beginning and the end of the world is within you, within this very experiences, sensory experiences you are having. If you see the ending of craving with wisdom eye and with practice, and you are convinced that you ended craving, and after that, it has a lasting effect on you. You have the knowledge that you ended craving, and you don't associate the world the same way until death, and you don't cling to anything afterwards. Okay, so let's leave the rest for the afternoon, the part on Madhupindika Sutra, and then we will get to that later. So please take a break now, and we will start with the guided meditation at let's see, 9:30. Make your tea, go to restroom and stretch yourself, and come back and sit with the group, and I will be leading the guided meditation.